The next videos, actually the next two videos I'm showing you, are about the next event I went to, which I almost didn't go to. But I heard it was put on by the Preservation Society, so I decided to go.
Oh, the Mother's Day Historic Harbor House Tour?
Yes.
That's a fundraiser too.
Yes, and actually I was slightly concerned about that, but when I actually went and talked with the homeowners that put their houses up for the tour, I realized that they were all really into the history and really into helping the Preservation Society. So felt a lot different than all the rest of them. Here, let me show you. So I took the walking house tour and tried to hit every building I could. And each stop, I was actually surprised because they had somebody there talking about the history of the building, the renovations. They were really interactive with everybody coming in and talking. They were willing to answer any questions possible and show you most of the house. And that was actually what struck me about this event, was that while it was a fundraising event, they really focused on the history. And they focused on the people who were preserving the history. Some of the buildings I went in and just looked around. Got to take in the history, see the renovations. Other buildings I actually stayed and talked with the homeowners, and I'm glad I did.
I'm actually more or less just learning the history. The purchase of this property happened rather quickly, so I really didn't know much about the Preservation Society and those people involved in the fight to keep it, because it was originally intended to be raised. So I'm learning, and I've learned within the past week or so that a privateer lived here. He was a privateer during the War of 1812. He was the captain of the schooner Midas, and he was Captain Thompson, Alexander Thompson. And in retaliation to the English raiding burning Washington, D.C., he went against commands and orders and actually raided an outpost in the Bahamas. Okay. And he was essentially, lost his license, if you will, to act as a privateer. So we found what I thought at the time during some of the excavation and demolition was a round piece of granite. I thought it was just a stone, but it was perfectly round. And I believe it was a granite cannonball that was found in the crawl space in the basement. And one of the only things that we were actually able to retain was an old door that we've put on a barn door style track that's on the first floor. And then the brick floors on the first floor were the bricks from the back of the building. So we took the bricks down, cut them in half, and used them as pavers.
But no, we don't know a lot about the house. We know that it was built in 1790. They did have a major renovation in 2000.
Okay, did you do any renovations on the house?
No.
No, you got it this way. And do you plan on any extra renovations or anything on this, or is this how you like it right now?
This is how we like it.
Now, why open it up to the house tour?
My next door neighbor is with the Preservation Society, and he has been on me to put it on, so that was the main motivation.
One last question. If there was one feature of the house that you really would like to point out to people, what is that?
Be the exterior.
The exterior?
The brick and the archways over the windows.
I really got my exercise that day. I never appreciated how big Fells Point is until I took that walking tour.
What I think is fascinating is that in a world where so many people are always seeking bigger houses with bigger kitchens and bigger bathrooms and walk-in closets for their 1.5 children, you see these historic homes that would have been populated by 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe a dozen residents living in relatively small square footage. And it's a testimony to what really community is. And it's not really the size of a house that makes a family. It's the people inside it living together that make the family and the home a home. The house is already renovated when I moved in about 3 years ago. We believe it was built about 1850, and originally it was about 12 by 24 square feet. In the 1990s, it was renovated. And so most of the original details are lost, but you can still see sort of the original footprint of the house. And so the kitchen is clearly an add-on because I bump my head going through the door every single week.
That's our shop.
Oh, okay, so you're actually going up into
the house.
And the house, excellent, okay. My name is Frank Tybush, by the way.
Our particular house is the front part of the house, which is right back there where that door is. That part of the house was built in 1790 and was a 2.5 story, probably a ship captain's house or something like that. And the 3rd story and the storefront was installed probably right after the Civil War.
Oh, wow.
And then we're standing over right now, it was the carriage house, which was an outbuilding for the main house, and has since been connected to the main house. So now the whole property is 80 feet deep and 3 stories high.
That's pretty big for down here.
Yeah.
Or did you do the renovations yourself?
Some of it we did ourselves, but the main structure that we're in right now, we had an architect design this, and I had a contractor build it. It was very difficult because we were running our business at the same time, and there were periods of time where we had no roof over top of us, and rain came in, so we had a lot of issues. I think one of the most interesting facts is the view we had over the harbor. You know, that's what really I think makes this house unique. I mean, there's a lot of wonderful houses in Fells Point, but not all of them get a share in a view like this.
All right, so I think the next place we're looking at is 911 Fell Street. Hi. This house is gorgeous.
The original house was built in around 1785, and then there were 3 additions after that in later times. So it has quite a history. The history of the house is written on this wall. There are 3 different roofs that you can see if you look at this wall. If you look up there, there's a center beam.
Okay.
That was the center of the house and the original part of the house. You can follow the roof line down.
Oh, I see.
Then, if you look up there, you'll see what was essentially a flat roof. And then you look beyond that yet, and you see what you have now, which is a sloped roof.
And you see it because you left the wall exposed
Yes.
for people to be able to see.
Yep,
Oh, that's incredible. And did you do the renovations on the house?
we did.
And do you have any interesting stories about the renovation process?
Well, interesting in that sometimes it's frustrating, and you never know what you're going to find in an old house.
Like what?
You can't move walls very easily. We found out that some of the walls are double brick construction and some are not, so your measurements may not be quite what you think they are. The ceiling heights aren't exactly as you think they might be.
So it's kind of like a mishmash almost.
And the floors aren't level, and because the old ship's lumber is still supporting the floors in this house, so there's a lot of things you have to get used to.
There's a charm to it.
It really is. At first it bothered me that the floors weren't flat, but it doesn't bother me at all now.
Why did you choose to put the house up on the house tour?
We're big fans of the Preservation Society and the work that they do, and we're happy to have people look at our house. It's fun for us, so I hope it is for them.
This was actually a historic warehouse that they renovated and turned into condos. So it might not look exactly historic, but it's kind of interesting that repurposing these old buildings.
It's a gorgeous apartment.
Yeah, it's definitely, yeah.
This was an interesting video.
Thank
I see
you.
why you appreciated the homeowners and how they felt and how they took time with you.